everybody, hope you're doing well. This week's video, I'm a little late to the party on this, but with Summer Games Fest, a lot of new games got announced, and one that I'm super excited for is Resident Evil Veronica. So today we're going to be breaking down the trailer and discussing what they may keep and what they may change from the original. So without further ado, let's begin. So first, we get some nice establishing shots of France. This trailer is in first person, which is an interesting choice. We get taken into an apartment building by a French woman who, I hope this makes sense, sounds like a young person trying to act old.
The sister of the man on the third floor. Ah, welcome to Paris. It's so nice to meet you.
As we walk through this building, she mentions that we're looking for our brother, that he lives on the third floor. We enter his apartment, which is a mess, but it doesn't look like it's been ransacked. It just looks like it's unorganized. There's food laying out, things like that. But it doesn't appear, in my opinion, that there was some kind of struggle or fight. But maybe there's more to see later. Then we get a little reference, a little cheeky comment about a boulder.
I just cleaned it up a week ago. It's like a boulder rolled through here. Huh?
Those of you who know. And then she tries to steal his food, which is just probably the most evil thing a resident in this building could do. All jokes aside, the phone rings, the old woman steps out for a bit, and then we hear a knock at the door. But there's no one there, and then we peek out, and we're attacked, and it leads to a somewhat cinematic view. The angle switches for a second, and it looks like it's Hunk. We then get flashes of various locations, likely being Rockford Island, Umbrella's prison camp, and possibly Spencer Mansion. And the mention of Spencer Mansion might not make a lot of sense to those who haven't at least seen a playthrough or heard the story of Code Veronica before, but I promise it makes sense and we'll get back to it in a second. The trailer ends with Hunk name-dropping Claire Redfield, and that kind of leaves us off. The model that they're using for Claire appears to be, at the very least, very similar to her Resident Evil 2 counterpart. I can't really put my finger on what's different, I just know it is, but it's clearly meant to be the same Claire. So, as we know with the Resident Evil remakes, they haven't been a one-to-one remake every single time. This isn't just porting things over, giving it a 4K texture and calling it a day. They've reworked the stories and set pieces and overhauled the gameplay, which is exactly what we can expect from Resident Evil Veronica. According to an IGN article I read, one of the producers actually said that, hey, things are going to be adjusted and rearranged. And after all, this is a 27-year-old game, which, that's crazy in my mind that something that released on the PlayStation 2 was 27 years ago. The producer said, "With Resident Evil Veronica, we're planning to restructure the story so that players can clearly feel how these titles are a part of one cohesive series. We chose to make Code Veronica next after Resident Evil 4 because we want players to experience Claire's equally important post-Resident Evil 2 story." The first thing that I want to say is great to hear out of this is the direct mention of the importance of Claire's story. I feel like other than Jill Valentine, Claire seems to get left in the dust a lot when it comes to the different characters within the Resident Evil universe. Of course, Leon is in everything. He's the poster boy, and then you have Chris and all these other characters, new characters, and I just feel like Claire just seems to get lost in the mix sometimes, so I think the emphasis on her is really great. And the other thing I love about this statement is the intention to make the games feel like a much more cohesive narrative altogether. Resident Evil is a lot of things. I think the original games are fantastic in their own right, and that they deserve to be played. However, it is also very chaotic. The tone shifts wildly from one game to the next. The series as a whole has become far more action-oriented as time has gone on. Now, of course, recently they've come back to their roots. I'm talking about going from Resident Evil 4 and then going to 6 or 5, and it's just, it's night and day. I think this reassurance is really helpful, especially after Resident Evil 3 and how that remake was handled, how things were cut, and that was far more of a cash grab just to capitalize on the revival of the series, rather than wanting to go back and really remaster and remake these games into a more cohesive, overarching narrative. Now, what do I think will stay from the original Resident Evil Code Veronica? Well, I think Chris will be playable as he is in the original game. My only question is, what will he look like? Chris is a character who has changed a lot. Whether you go from Resident Evil 7 to 8, or you look at the movies, or you look at the games, I feel like his appearance, it always looks like you're trying to draw him from memory, but you don't have a reference. That it's like generally the same looking guy, but not really. So in my personal opinion, I would hope they would go with a look that's closer to like Death Island kind of Chris, rather than Resident Evil 8 Chris. I don't know. That's just me. With the effort of making the games more cohesive, we could see some changes to Wesker's inclusion, but he'll still be there. It's possible that they use this opportunity to better set up his clone later on, and I don't know, maybe there'll be some like lab notes you can read or something like that that kind of builds that up a little more. And of course, T. Veronica will still be a major focal point of the story, and there will likely be a tyrant of some kind, just like in Code Veronica. And then the final thing that I think will be the same is Spencer Mansion. Now, I know it doesn't look exactly like the original Spencer Mansion, but I mean, I can't think of another explanation for this very ornate building and this staircase on what is supposed to be the prison camp for Umbrella. For those of you who are unaware, in Resident Evil Code Veronica, there is a replica of Spencer Mansion underneath the island. And it sounds ridiculous, but it seems like they're going to keep it. I wonder if there's going to be a better context around why it's there, and that they will change the framing of it and keep it in the game. It might be used differently, but clearly it's there. I imagine we will also get the Ashfords, but I'm also a little hesitant, and that brings me to what might change. I think it's possible that the secondary antagonist of this game is changed. I think it's possible that the antagonists in this game kind of get shuffled around a little bit. With the inclusion of Hunk, who was not in Code Veronica, I imagine he'll be used a lot more, and it's possible that maybe the Ashfords will take a back seat, and that Hunk will be more of an enforcer type at this prison camp, hunting you down, sending people after you, that kind of thing. However, I know a lot of people do like the Ashfords and how crazy they are, so I can't imagine they would get rid of them entirely. But things that will change: Hunk will be in the game, and he'll likely be a lieutenant, a mini-boss throughout the games. I don't know, maybe he will chase you down and kind of act like a Mr. X type, someone who's relentlessly pursuing you. That's just me spitballing, though. Now, other things that I think might change is the Burnside family, simply due to the fact that with the goal of these games being a larger narrative as a whole, it's likely that they will alter certain aspects of the family and the role that they play within the story to fit the character growth that they want for Claire, and that she'll teach them some kind of lesson that's different than what we see in Code Veronica, and they might play a larger emotional role in the game. While I did say there is an opportunity for Wesker to be kind of overhauled in this and more set up for future games with him to be used here, I think there's also a possibility that he could take a back seat to Hunk. I just think the choice to include Hunk and his appearance in some recent games like Resident Evil 9 and this trailer, of course, shows me that they want to work him into the larger story and make him more of a big bad. And then finally, this might disappoint you Code Veronica diehard fans, but I think the instant death escape room will be changing. I think it might be altered. So you can, get your comments ready of, well, I beat that when it was really hard on the original one. So, yeah. And that's all I've got to say about Resident Evil Veronica. I'm pretty excited for this one, especially since Code Veronica is one that I haven't been able to sit down and actually play. I've played a bit of Resident Evil 4 on my PlayStation 2, but then my PlayStation 2 kicked the bucket, so I haven't been able to really buy any more PlayStation 2 games to play them, the original hardware and all that stuff. So I'm very excited to see this remake and see what they change and what they keep. If you've made it this far, I would ask you to like and subscribe. I make a lot of different gaming content on this channel. I cover various different genres and games as a whole, different franchises, so stick around if you'd like. Thank you guys so much for watching, though. I appreciate every single one of you, and I hope you have a good morning or evening or, whatever.